Hey, welcome back. We're going to take just a few moments to talk over some basics of safety and make sure you're prepared and don't end up killing yourself somehow. We're going to start with something that gets neglected a little too much in my industry, and you're going to be dealing with them a lot, so I want to make sure you're comfortable with them and use them often, and that's safety glasses. Now mine are a little more on the expensive side. It's because I wear them all the time. But in general, cost is not an excuse, because this pair here runs about $2, $2.50. You can buy them in packs. It's got multiple sets of goggles in there. So even if they get scratched, it's not worth worrying about. Just toss them away and grab another pair. Now, once you've got safety goggles on, you've gotten used to them, you know you're protected that way. The next thing a lot of times you'll need to protect is your hearing. We're using power tools a lot. Power tools make a lot of noise, and you want to make sure that your hearing is protected. As both a builder and a musician, a drummer of all things, I want to make sure that my hearing is protected, so I've been wearing earplugs or ear protection for years. Got two different kinds. These are great. They're nice and soft. They're fairly comfortable. You just roll them between your fingers, press them in, and hold them there until they expand and fill up your ear canal. They do a great job of noise reduction, and they're cheap as well. You can step it up and go with more of an ear muff design. It usually reduces even more outside noise for even better protection. And in my experience with the set of these on, you can still usually hear each other talking, but it'll curve down those real loud abusive noises from a circular saw or chop saw or air compressor, things like that. So hearing protection, eye protection. Once you've got those covered, the next thing that no one really has a problem with for the most part, if you got a pair of gloves laying around, you're likely to grab them and throw them on. Got two different kinds. This kind really you use more for demolition or for hauling or moving materials or that sort of thing. You can't do really a lot of dexterous kind of work with these, so you might step it up to a glove similar to this. I use these all the time, every day. I wear these gloves, not these exact ones, these are shiny and new, but a pair similar to them. Now they do wear out a little quicker than these bigger gloves, but like I said, I could pick up a screw with these. I can use these throughout the day. They're comfortable, fairly strong, and they're inexpensive also. Where these gloves might be anywhere from $3 to $5 per pair, these might be $10, but they're definitely worth it to be able to continue working while wearing gloves on. In the winter, they keep your hands warm too. Now, protecting yourself from dust, respiration protection is also important. You could go the less expensive way, and for $3 or $4 you can get a small pack of standard dust mask like this with a rubber strap that goes around the back. You're rarely going to be doing anything that requires this sort of protection. We're going to do some drywall repair later on where when sanding you might want to wear something like this. If you find yourself having to wear it often or you're having to go into a crawl space or an attic, then you might want to go with more active respiration protection. It goes on your head. It has replaceable cartridges. These have gotten less expensive as well. For about $20 you can get a really professional set of these, and I've had these for about 12 years. I think I've changed the cartridges 5 or 6 times, but they're real simple to use and really not, they're like the safety goggles. Once you've got them on, you spend a minute with them, they're not a big deal. They make going into a crawl space or an attic a lot more pleasant, the truth is, because rather than the stuffiness, you've got that clean air you're breathing. Now, knee pads. I'm a big guy, so when I get down on my knees, I'm going to stay down there for a little while because it's a pain to get up and down, let's face it. But depending on what I'm getting up and down on, I'm going to use some type of knee pads. I want to consider two things, my knees, obviously, and I also want to consider the surface I'm kneeling down on. If I'm kneeling down on a hardwood floor, I want to make sure I've got something that's got a soft face that's going to protect that hardwood floor and not scratch it. If I'm kneeling down on tile or concrete, you can maybe go with a little bit of a different kind, like these rubberized kinds that's got a little bit of traction in that case. You can see I think I put some glue down wood floor on at Ben's house. And as a result, you end up with the glue stuck in it. But it's okay. You want to get the best knee pads you can afford. A nice gel pad in there will make the day go by quicker, and your knees and lower back feel much better by the end of the day. So don't skimp on the knee pads. Now, the last thing I wanted to make sure we talked about, well, we're going to talk about boots first, and then we'll talk about this. Boots. Depending on what you're doing, what your project is, the steel toes can be very important, or they can't. I have a pair of steel toes, but in general, with what I do most of the time, the steel toes are not all that important. You can see I've had these a little while, and I probably should have Febrezed them, but it is what it is. Steel toes can be great when you're doing things where you can expect to have heavy things dropped on your foot once in a while. If you decide to build a cinder block wall outside, or you're moving heavy objects, things like that, the steel toes can really add a layer of protection. In general, some boots that you have set aside that are just for working, it keeps you from messing up your favorite tennis shoes, if nothing else. First aid kit is another thing that you need to know exactly where it is, and you need to be prepared to get to it at any time. Whether it's a small cut from a Band-Aid, a splinter you're trying to remove, whatever, on up to bigger things, a first aid kit is just a common sense thing to have around. So once you've got this wide variety of things available, you're probably prepared, protected, and ready to move forward with the projects.